Smile a little.
There will be time for that later. Not yet.
Dressed as a Bedouin, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi returns to the spotlight. The former playboy and son of ex-Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi decided to run in his country's presidential election.
We need a signature and a fingerprint. Now everything just needs to be entered into the system.
Disappeared for a long time, rumored to be either dead or insane, he's one of the last survivors of the Gaddafi clan.
Is that it? Am I done?
One more fingerprint, please.
All over again. Where? Here?
It's a historic moment. He's surrounded by his supporters.
Now a photo with everyone.
I want my own photo with him.
Can I get a selfie with him?
No. First we need to complete the process. Then there'll be time for photos. This is being filmed. It's inappropriate.
This appearance has been planned in the strictest secrecy. Despite being no stranger to the world of celebrity, Gaddafi suddenly seems overwhelmed in front of the camera.
That's enough filming now. Enough.
There's no political speech, just a few short words.
May God prove us right, for He is the best of all judges, and no one can oppose His counsel. God bless you.
That short statement marks the beginning of a dangerous game. Gaddafi knows full well that by attempting to claim power in Libya, he's risking his life. The announcement of his presidential candidacy is a bombshell. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi has been sentenced to death several times in Libya. He's also wanted by the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. Who is this man? Who are his supporters and his enemies? And what's given him hope of securing a political comeback for the Gaddafi family?
It's very difficult to get to someone who's deemed a criminal and who's more or less hiding in the desert.
He survived several attempts on his life.
There were lots of rumors that he'd been killed.
I knew this name was the son of Muammar Gaddafi, but I really didn't know very much more than that.
Of all the brothers, he was closest to the Libyan people.
Saif was on the rise. Nobody could stop him.
In a way, it was the court of a great king with all his courtiers around him and a harem of women following him around.
His ultimate intentions and capabilities remain unknowable.
In 2011, amid the Arab Spring, Libyans rose up against dictator Muammar Gaddafi, Saif al-Islam's father.
We'll fight to the last man, the last bullet.
The UN Security Council opted for military intervention.
The resolution is adopted as an S/1973, 2011.
I made it clear that Gaddafi had lost the confidence of his people and the legitimacy to lead. And I said that he needed to step down from power.
Saif al-Islam Gaddafi also threatened the French president.
What about the money Libya gave Sarkozy for his election campaign?
After an 8-month offensive, the Gaddafi clan was decimated. And Saif al-Islam was captured. reported from Libya before, during, and after the revolution. Since his capture on November 19, 2011, we've been following the trail of Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, monitoring the few signs he still lived. How did this former high-flying playboy cope with captivity? Is he a threat to Libya or a beacon of hope? Over the years, we've gained access to his inner circle. Gaddafi's life reflects Libya's chaotic recent history. This film tells his story. Today, Libya is a country torn apart by years of civil war. 5 times the size of Germany, it shares borders with 6 other nations and has a population of around 7 million people. It's seen as a gateway to the Mediterranean and to Europe. And thanks to its gas and oil reserves, it's one of the richest countries in Africa, a key partner in terms of security and energy. There are over 100 tribes in Libya, many of which play a central role in the conservative Sunni Muslim society. For over 10 years, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi was untraceable. Even saying his name was taboo, as we soon learned.
Why arresting is because I was questioning people on the street about Saif al-Islam.
Those close to his clan won't help us.
About the photographer, what he told you?
Told me that in 2011, before Gaddafi fall, the Gaddafi family took all the photos in archive and took it with them. So no other photographer has anything at all.
We look for Saif al-Islam Gaddafi wherever his family has sought refuge, but we come up against a wall of silence everywhere we go. In Libya, but also in Rome, Vienna, Washington, London, Berlin, and Tunis. Even in the Libyan city of Zintan, where he's believed to be living now. 2 men lie at the center of our investigation: an American billionaire and friend of Saif, and a Libyan businessman who became Saif's right-hand man living in exile in London. Both want to remain anonymous for their own security. We made contact with them.
I need to meet you in person before I can approve you. We can meet here at 4 p.m. I will have an answer from Saif today for you. I haven't heard back from Saif's guys. I want to put you directly in touch with Saif's guy.
Yes, your effort and work are appreciated. If possible, replace it with recent selfies.
It's not a selfie film at all.
I'm at the hotel.
The right-hand man doesn't know we're recording.
You read the history of Saif. Study where, why you get Saif, why you make the community. I'm too close to him. I study with him, university, I work with him, not like others, you know.
I know.
Yeah. We decide because everybody against us. The scenario what you write, leave them pass.
His friends stay silent, but they can't stop Saif's supporters from posting pictures of him on social media or stop us from investigating. In Arabic, Saif's name means Sword of Islam. Born in Tripoli in 1972, he's the second son of ruler Muammar Gaddafi.
His father belonged to the Candidacy tribe in central Libya. His mother came from the Barasa people in the east of the country. Muammar Gaddafi married Safia Farkash, which brought these Libyan tribes closer together. Saif al-Islam is held in high esteem by the tribes.
Saif and his 7 siblings were brought up believing in a paranoid conspiracy against their family. Instead of going into the army or his father's government, Saif, the second eldest son, studied architecture in Tripoli, graduating at 22. He then went on to be a painter, showing his work globally. Many of his paintings glorified his father. Saif al-Islam also took over his father's foundation, whose headquarters were high above the city's coastline. The original website has since been deleted, but we found traces of it online. It was called the Gaddafi International Charity and Development Foundation. With an unlimited budget, it distributed food and funds for Ramadan, among other things. This is Saif al-Islam during a visit to the Philippines. In August 2000, his foundation paid a ransom of several $1 million to free Western hostages kidnapped by militant Islamists.
Welcome to freedom.
You see us extremely grateful for our freedom.
Then classified as a state sponsor of terrorism, Saif wanted Libya to rejoin the global community. He attempted to repair the country's reputation following the atrocities committed by his father. He wanted to compensate families of the victims of a bomb attack on a plane belonging to French airline UTA that took place on September 19, 1989. Guillaume Denois du Saint-Marc's father was a passenger.
We arrived at Saif al-Islam Gaddafi's compound. There were watchtowers, vehicle checks, and all that. He welcomed us with fresh fruit by the pool, wearing flip-flops, shorts, and a t-shirt.
Et qui nous met à l'aise avec des fruits.
The DC-10 aircraft exploded over the Tenere Desert in Niger. 170 people were killed. It was seen as an attack against the West, believed to have been masterminded by Saif al-Islam's uncle, Abdullah as-Sanusi, head of the Libyan Secret Service.
I often say that I had to negotiate with the son of my father's murderer. He gave the impression of being sincere and straightforward. He was determined to convince me that his father and the Libyan state had nothing to do with the bombing of UTA Flight 772. But you could tell that he didn't believe that for a second.
By a swimming pool in Tripoli, the Frenchman reached an agreement with the man who was son and nephew to his father's killers. The rapprochement had begun in Paris in February 2002.
I heard on the car radio that Saif al-Islam Gaddafi was being received by the French Senate. He'd come to make peace between France and Libya. I was so shocked I almost crashed the car.
Guillaume Denois de Saint-Marc went to where the talks were being held.
When I got there, I was so angry. I wanted to throw a bucket of blood in his face. I found his presence there unbearable. After the conference, the doors were opened. There were the usual drinks and people pounced on the canapes. I went up to Gaddafi. I looked him in the eye and said my father was on that plane. He later admitted that he thought I was going to punch him in the face. I explained to him that for us survivors, the case wasn't closed. But if he wanted to close it in a dignified way, I would be his man for negotiations.
In January 2004, families of the bombing victims received $170 million in compensation. A French court tried Abdullah as-Sanusi in absentia and sentenced him to life imprisonment. But Saif's uncle remained a free man in Libya, the number 2 figure in the Gaddafi regime. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi's years in Europe helped him prepare to become an international negotiator. He developed connections while studying In 2000, he graduated with a degree in economic management in Vienna. In 2008, he completed a doctorate in politics and social sciences in London.
I was sitting in my office in LSE in 2002, and the phone rang. I picked it up, and a man's voice at the other end explained that he was ringing on behalf of a client. He could not tell me the name of the client. He wanted to know in particular how many exits and entrances there were to this lecture theatre. So I was becoming quite puzzled as to who this client was. And then finally, the man revealed that his client was Saif Gaddafi.
Soon, the famous student was very much in the spotlight.
Welcome to this special Ralph Miliband lecture on the past, present, and future of Libya, presented by Saif al-Islam Gaddafi.
I got to know him a little bit, and I found him bright and intelligent.
The question of the crown prince. Okay, I like this idea very much, but...
He implied a strong faith that he would inherit power in Libya from his father. That is, there would be a natural progression from his father to him. And it's kind of ironic because at the same time he was writing this PhD about how to improve global democracy.
If we want to turn Libya into monarchy, and my father should be a king and have to be the crown prince, and my family is a ruling family, so we are going, first of all, we're going backward to the monarchy time. Second, it means the revolution against the monarchy was a mistake because you are replacing one family with another family. The third, I don't think that I'm the right person to be, the crown prince anyway, to the country. Fourth, I think the best system for Libya is democracy and not monarchy.
While praising democracy, he also advised his dictator father on how to toy with adversaries.
You have to be accountable.
He was laughing as he told me how he had persuaded his father to leverage the great boxes of equipment for making nuclear missiles. It was fake because Libya was quite unable to, had really no intention of taking this stuff out of the boxes and putting them to work to make nuclear weapons.
In 2010, Libya agreed to donate over 1 million euros to the London School of Economics, leading to accusations that Saif al-Islam had simply bought his degree.
In my experience, that is frankly not true. He was well qualified to come to do his master's and then go on to do a PhD.
It wasn't just the press who were interested in Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. Foreign intelligence services were also keeping track of him.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Secret diplomatic cables published by WikiLeaks reported on his growing influence.
If Saif al-Islam does intend to accept an official role in the near future, domestic audiences, particularly among Libya's swelling ranks of young adults, may welcome him as Libya's knight in shining armor. Contacts assert that Saif al-Islam may be the face of reform due to his high profile and public status. He is the current favorite to succeed his father. Saif al-Islam and his mother Safiya have been on the outs since Saif al-Islam refused to marry the young woman his mother picked for him some 2 years ago.
The author of these reports is this man.
My name is Gene Kretz. I was a Foreign Service officer in the American State Department from 1981 till 2015. And I was nominated by President George W. Bush. The family of Gaddafi was at top of the list, and Saif was one of the more approachable people. He was very polished compared to, let's say, the rest of his family, especially his brothers. Mu'tasim was a national security advisor. Khamis was the head of one of the military units.
In Vienna, we meet Wolfgang Pustai, former Austrian defense attaché in Tripoli.
Muammar Gaddafi also tried to share power, to divide it between his sons. He wanted to prevent his own family from ever overthrowing him. This divide and rule principle was one of the most important factors in maintaining Gaddafi's grip on power. Before the revolution, Saif al-Islam was the regime's Western face. He tried to fight corruption, or at least pretended to, while he himself led the life of a playboy, both in Libya and Europe, in Vienna, London, and other cities.
It's clear that Saif and his brothers, especially Mu'tasim, were very much competing with each other for influence, and also trying to position themselves for power for the day that Gaddafi left the scene.
While the younger brothers devoted themselves to the army and their father's household guard, Saif founded his own media outlets aimed at young people. Radio, television, print media. He sought out intellectuals. His mentor at the time was lawyer Mohammed El Houni, an eyewitness to the family dynamics.
His relationship with his father was sometimes good and sometimes not so good. Saif al-Islam made a mistake by trying to rule at the same time as his father. That brought him into conflict with his father. It wasn't so much about development. It was about the idea of democracy and possible investigations into past crimes.
The regime's crimes include Abu Salim, a high-security prison where political opponents were starved and tortured. Did Saif al-Islam know that on June 29, 1996, his father and uncle carried out a massacre there as retaliation for a prisoner revolt?
They stood on the roofs of the prison wings with machine guns, Berettas, and hand grenades. Guards and soldiers were ordered to lead the prisoners outside. The shooting went on for 2.5 hours. In the end, over 1,200 people were dead.
Fearing unrest, the regime disposed the bodies and lied to the families. After years of protests by the prisoners' families, Saif al-Islam took up the case.
I met Saif al-Islam in 2010 at his personal request. We talked about the general situation. I mentioned the prisoners in the Abu Salim massacre. He seemed astonished by it and by the images of what happened in the prison. He seemed sorry.
إطلاق الدولة الليبية سراح 214 سجينا من الجماعات الإسلامية.
طبعا يوم مهم جدا.
This is a very important day for Libya.
يوم من أيام.
It's a day of reconciliation and freedom.
أيضا هو يوم من أيام الحرية.
Among the prisoners released in 2008 and 2010 were members of the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group. Muammar Gaddafi hardliners saw the move as a betrayal by his son, which would later lead to the leader's ouster. Mass protests erupted in Tunisia and Egypt. The Arab Spring had begun. On February 14, 2011, one of Saif al-Islam's newspapers praised young people for striving for freedom. The next day, families of the Abu Salim prison victims demonstrated on this bridge in Benghazi. Their spokesman, Fatih Terbil, was arrested and interrogated by Abdullah As-Sanusi, Saif's uncle.
He said to me, "What do you want? How far do you want to take this?" Then he told me to fly with him to Tripoli at 7 the next morning. Gaddafi wanted to see me in person.
He would never get to speak to Gaddafi. Instead, the demonstrators were shot at. A former Gaddafi clan bodyguard says the order was justified.
When the fighting began, there were still talks going on, attempts to settle everything peacefully. But then the Libyan government heard that undesirable people had entered the country. Islamists were streaming into Benghazi and forming gangs. So the army intervened. Never before had the army taken action against the population.
Mohammed al-Huni, Saif al-Islam's mentor, flew in from Rome.
I suggested he give a personal speech. We expected him to address the people and explain that what was happening was not for the good of Libya. It would have disastrous consequences. And anyone who shot at citizens would be prosecuted.
Tripoli, February 20th, midnight.
We now let the weapons do the talking. Everyone can access them. Instead of mourning the deaths of 84 people, we will mourn hundreds of thousands. Rivers of blood will flow through all the cities of Libya. God bless you.
I was at home when I heard the speech. I realized then that the regime would either succeed in suppressing the uprising with a bloodbath, or that the regime would fall. Either way, the result would be a great tragedy.
He could have called for reconciliation to calm the situation. People would have listened. Instead, he defended his father and threatened the population. That speech can be considered a potential war crime.
The speech did in fact become part of charges against Saif al-Islam Gaddafi at the International Criminal Court, which issued an arrest warrant against him for crimes against humanity.
To NATO, I say you're relying on traitors, collaborators, and spies. But millions are rallying around Muammar Gaddafi, and you will lose the battle.
In Tripoli, he tried to get his message out to Western media.
Our friends in London, they start realizing that there is a misunderstanding of the situation in Libya, take the camera, film, interview people, ask them, you get the truth. We are dealing with terrorist people. They attacked military barracks, they stole ammunition and arms and even tanks. This time is very critical. There is no room for diplomacy or, nice words. This time, in Libyan history, you see young boys, civilians, driving tanks in the middle of the cities. So those guys are not talking about the constitution.
To counteract the hostile media, Saif al-Islam produced DVDs with his own message. They show rebels beneath threatening clouds of dust. Protesters stoning a Libyan army soldier. And civilians killed by foreign airstrikes.
يضرب بعدين يخلي المدنية تتجمع والناس اللي يطفي في النار يضرب في الناس.
On March 19th, 2011, NATO and Arab states led by France began a joint military operation supporting the rebellion. Militant Islamists joined the fighting too. In Washington, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton also had an eye on Saif al-Islam Gaddafi.
Rumors are circulating that Saif al-Islam, with the acceptance of his father, has issued a proposal to assume the reins of power.
The White House was skeptical. For the US, a Gaddafi was a Gaddafi.
He was a reformer, certainly by comparison to his father, and he was the face of Libyan reform to the West. But he also grew up under an abusive, authoritarian, and sometimes crazy father, who he had to please and work within that framework.
Meanwhile, fighting in Libya continued. Village by village and town by town, the rebels gained ground. Ambassador Jean Kretz was flown out, but remained in contact with President Obama. Saif al-Islam asked him to convey messages to the US president.
The United States should take care in terms of what side it chose, because it was misreading the situation. This was not a national rebellion directed against the Gaddafi government, but in fact was a jihadist revolt.
Saif al-Islam went on the attack, not just against the rebels, but also against the French president.
First of all, this clown Sarkozy must give Libya its money back. We'll bring the details to light, all the transfers, documents, and accounts.
France's position as the head of the military coalition fed the idea of a conspiracy against his family. Jean Kretz saw it as paranoia.
I think France had a leading role, and then, of course, aided by other NATO allies and also by some of the Arab Gulf countries as well. But I think clearly it was in the beginning, right before everything started, that the French were very eager to help the Libyan people in this situation.
Eight months later, the regime fell. Muammar Gaddafi died on October 20th. The exact circumstances of his death are unclear. 3 of his sons were also killed. On November 19th, 2011, Saif al-Islam was captured by militia fighters. who filmed their hostage. French news site Mediapart published numerous articles claiming that Libya paid millions to fund French President Nicolas Sarkozy's 2007 election campaign. French authorities opened an investigation. Meanwhile, Saif al-Islam, who initiated the scandal, was being held by militia fighters in Zintan, a city that had long been a rebel stronghold. Would they execute the son of their enemy, or use him as a bargaining chip to gain influence over militias? After a few weeks, rumors emerged that Saif al-Islam was seriously ill. The US-based NGO Human Rights Watch managed to speak to the prisoner.
They did not want to reveal the location of all the prison visits I've done and prisoners I've interviewed. To me, he looked haggard. He had a long, scraggly beard. He looked tired. He was also injured. His fingers were injured on his right hand. I remember because when we came to shake hands, he came with his left. And he explained that his finger had been injured during when he was captured. Look, I'm not a psychologist and I had never met him before, but it was a surreal experience for someone who held so much power, who was such a untouchable figure in that country and internationally, to be humbled and held in those conditions.
In 2013, key members of the Gaddafi regime were put on trial in Tripoli. They appeared wearing prison uniforms. Saif al-Islam's uncle, Abdullah al-Sanusi, was also present, looking emaciated and exhausted. Their jailers? The Islamists released by Saif al-Islam in 2008 and 2010. The militia in Zintan refused to hand over Saif al-Islam for the trial. Instead, he appeared via videolink. Meanwhile, fierce fighting continued among rival groups. In 2014, the so-called Islamic State infiltrated Libya. On July 28, 2015, verdicts were handed down in Tripoli. 9 men received the death penalty, including for Abdullah al-Sanusi and Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. But the Zintan rebels holding Gaddafi refused to recognize the Islamists' verdict. The son of Libya's ousted leader escaped the worst fate and disappeared. In 2017, new rumors emerged that he'd been driven insane by torture or that he'd become extremely religious. It was the beginning of a legend that would become a problem for the militia leaders. We spoke to one member of the military council, Mukhtar al-Akhtar.
Saif is in prison. He doesn't want to leave Zintan, but it would be better if he did. He's a time bomb.
In 2018, Saif al-Islam resurfaced, apparently a free man. The news once again divided Libya's militias. Many wanted revenge. In France, the scandal over alleged Libyan financing of Sarkozy's election campaign boiled over once again. On September 11, 2018, the newspaper Le Monde quoted a letter that Saif al-Islam is said to have sent to the investigating judge. 2 of Gaddafi's lawyers are said to have confirmed the letter's authenticity. In London, we asked his right-hand man about it.
That Saif wrote a letter to the French judge in 2008.
Yeah.
It is like
You're right. Everything the truth. He don't care about nobody. Nobody. With the truth. The judge take care of the case, French. Yeah. He knows. Look, this is part of it. He can do this one. why he needs to shame, and Saif is not like the kind of, no, because we have interest or I win good faith. No. Okay, and the judge asked me, okay, I will write the truth. I don't shame. It's the truth. He is not afraid.
We were able to see a French translation of the 2018 letter. Part of it reads,
I was the first person to speak publicly about the financing of Sarkozy's election campaign after the incidents in February. I didn't ask anyone's permission, because Sarkozy was not a sincere ally. He had played a decisive role in exacerbating the conflict in Libya and thwarting efforts for an internal Libyan dialogue at the beginning of the crisis.
Once again, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi had made serious accusations against the former French president. Nicolas Sarkozy is still under investigation over the scandal, innocent until proven guilty. On October 16, 2020, he posted this message on social media.
I am innocent on all counts, and the prosecution has been fooled by the testimony of murderers, notorious fraudsters, and false witnesses. In the end, the truth will triumph.
After his 2018 letter, Saif al-Islam disappeared once again. Rumors in Zintan said he married the daughter of a tribal leader, had a family, and that the former dictator's son was hiding out in the desert. In July 2021, he staged his return in the New York Times Magazine.
My name is Robert Worth. I write for the New York Times Magazine, mostly about the Middle East.
Worth spent a long time securing an interview. He plays us a recording.
Yeah, I'm a free person right now, of course. And, I can move freely to a certain extent inside the country because of the security reasons.
He's grown a long beard, which makes him look different, and he wore this kind of tribal outfit as if he were, some paramount sheikh. He has a sense of theater, that's clear. He did speak about vengeance towards the protest movement of 2011. Even 10 years later, he talked about the protesters being drug addicts and criminals. He sees them as the people who killed his family and destroyed the dynasty, the Gaddafi dynasty. He has a real anger, almost a hatred, particularly against Sarkozy. He said that he blamed him for what had happened to his family. I asked him, are these accusations true that your father helped to fund Sarkozy's campaign? He said, yes, it's true, and I know that it's true, and I sent a letter to the prosecutor in Paris stating that.
For the first time, Saif al-Islam confirmed to a journalist that he had written the letter. He repeated his accusations, but still offered no evidence.
From a historian's point of view, 11 years isn't long enough to conclude that there is no evidence. At the time the regime could have obtained the evidence, there was a war on. There were other concerns. I think it's premature to say there is no evidence.
In London, journalists from Tortoise Media and The Guardian have been digging into Saif al-Islam Gaddafi's past.
I came into receipt of some material, emails sent by and received by Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. An email apparently from Naomi Campbell to Saif the Gaddafi directly, where she said, Saif, my great friend, would like to visit Libya on her yacht for pleasure. This email said. The great friend was Ghislaine Maxwell, the now convicted sex trafficker. Saif Gaddafi and his entourage went on a trip to Corfu or wherever in the Mediterranean, in the Caribbean. They were always accompanied by young women, often from Eastern Europe.
When the article was published in July 2022, Saif al-Islam sued the journalists.
He hasn't said, fine, I'm a new man, I'm not interested in parties with naked models anymore. He hasn't done that. He will in fact rule in the same way that he he did behind the scenes before 2011.
November 12, 2021. 5 weeks before elections were due to be held in Libya, a high-level summit took place in Paris. Representatives from the US, Russia, Qatar, Egypt, Algeria, Germany, Italy, the EU, and the UN came together to ensure that the vote would go ahead. Nobody officially acknowledged the possibility of a Gaddafi family comeback, but Saif al-Islam's right-hand man claimed to have links to the Kremlin.
Libya, serious case, not only because of Libya, because of Africa. Americans, they don't like Saif come back.
The elections in Libya were postponed indefinitely. There were around 100 candidates for president, many of them controversial, including Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. Currently, the country has no central government. It remains divided, impoverished, and largely influenced by foreign states, especially Turkey and Russia. Among the contenders for power are Khalifa Haftar, who controls eastern Libya, Fatih Bashaga, former prime minister of a parallel government, Abdul Hamid Dibeiba, prime minister of the globally recognized Libyan government, Aguila Saleh Issa, chairman of the Tobruk parliament, and Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, who has no firm political base, support, or official funding.
Apart from Russia, which has presumably helped him, not a single country supports Saif's return. But to be politically successful, he needs an armed group that's capable of more than just protecting his life and allowing him to move in narrowly defined areas.
According to a 2022 poll carried out by an institute in Libya, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi would receive the most votes in an election, with 46.4%, although it's a forecast that should be treated with caution. Many Gaddafi supporters fled to the Tunisian capital. In Tunis, we met the man who announced Saif al-Islam's candidacy in 2018.
I am Khalid al-Khalil, a lawyer and human rights activist on Saif al-Islam Gaddafi's team. Saif al-Islam has survived several attempts on his life. He has proven to the world that he is a patriot with good intentions. He wants peace. We have no desire for revenge, quite the opposite. Those who have wronged us only need to apologize.
Italy is keeping an especially close eye on developments in Libya, which was once an Italian colony. Marco Minniti is a former Italian interior minister who was responsible for counterintelligence.
Europe needs a united Libya. It needs a Libya that takes its fate back into its own hands and that can be a partner. Elections are essential in democracies. That's why we need elections in Libya.
My own point of view is that he could be a person whose work is to try and bring Libyans together, to build an inclusive country. He's lost family members, he's had injury to his body, he's been held prisoner, and through suffering one can change one's position from being the privileged son of a dictator to being something more, to bring people together.
If elected, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi would be a president who couldn't travel abroad or even to some Libyan cities. He's wanted by the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity.
I, Karim Asad Ahmed Khan, solemnly undertake that I will perform my duties and exercise...
Karim Asad Ahmed Khan is a prosecutor of the ICC. He also used to be Saif al-Islam's lawyer. He's declined our interview requests. We confronted him.
Mr. Khan, why is it possible to talk with you of Libya? Isn't it a lack of transparency?
You can speak to the team. No, you can speak about Libya, but you can speak to my deputy if it's about the Gaddafi case, because I've recused myself from it.
I'm going to The Hague tomorrow if I can visit.
But his deputy had no time to talk to us. In London, Saif al-Islam's right-hand man confirms that his comeback is imminent.
The speech is ready. Even the color of his suit. Because everything gives sign. Imagine, even the color of his suit. The color of shirt.
Which color?
I don't tell.
If Saif al-Islam Gaddafi came to power, would he follow through on his previous threats? Would he avenge his family and wipe out his enemies? Or would he seek reconciliation? And would he govern by dictatorship or democracy? Following investigations into alleged Libyan financing of his presidential campaign, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy is due to face trial. Under French law, he's considered innocent until proven guilty. In response to our questions, Sarkozy's lawyer replied, Nicolas Sarkozy has always firmly rejected these accusations. They have no basis whatsoever. More than 11 years of investigations haven't produced the slightest evidence of illegal financing of the 2007 presidential election campaign.